If I talk about worship as a concept, I could teach it with the intention of taking a man through the journey that liberates them into a true worshiper. Are you listening? It could be a journey that takes a man to the liberation of a true worshiper. But when the man becomes a true worshiper, when we start teaching worship at that level, we're no longer talking to them as a man on the journey to achieve the liberties of worship. When you're talking to a man who has achieved the liberties of worship, you can only talk to him about the worship of liberated men. Do you understand that? The worship of liberated men is different from the worship of men trying to liberate themselves. When a man is worshiping from a place that seeks liberation, any aspect of life, you will hear some sense of ask. You hear requests. You hear nuances of desires unfulfilled. But when a man is worshiping in liberty, they don't go with a need. They don't go with a need. It does not mean that they don't have needs at that particular hour. It only means they have matured and outgrown the indifference and deception of the bondage of ignorance. To assume that your father hears you most because you're repeating sentences. Now, the Bible calls that hypocrisy. That kind of indifference. He says but when you pray, he says, use not repetitions as the heathen do, for they think that they shall be heard for their much speaking. Now, I need to help the Christian who is repeating themselves before God because they've not achieved the liberty of spirit to worship as free men. And I need to liberate them because they might spend 5 hours repeating what another man can go in the presence to achieve in 10 minutes. And 2 men are going to come out of the closet, and you'll say this one only prays for 10 minutes, and you say the other one prays for 5 hours, and you will ask the question, if the other one is praying for 5 hours and this one is praying for 10 minutes, why is it that the man who is praying for 10 minutes has more results than the man praying for 5 hours? Haven't you asked yourself that question? Haven't you been around people who pray for so long, but they don't seem to have the results of prayer? And there are people who are so aligned to truth that even before they call, before they even get into the presence of God to say anything, heaven is like, don't waste your time. You've outgrown that. It's given. Worship me. Until you understand the law of free men. Write this down. Until you understand the law of free men, you can never worship effectively with your spirit. The law of free men, James 1:25 talks about it. If anyone looks steadily into the law of free men, if anybody looks steadily into the law of free men, the Bible says he will not only remember it, but he will do what it says. God will greatly bless him in everything he does. 360. God will bless him in everything he does. Everything he does. The law of liberty, it's a law.